brings us to item 9.1 on the agenda then, which I said is our finance strategy, capital programme, revenue budget and council tax. I'm going to introduce the item, and then there are two councillors who want to address us on certain parts of it. That's Peter Davis and then Arthur Mandry. So I'll call those councillors forward as soon as I've introduced them. And I will also touch upon Dogtown as well at the same time. Right, the council is clearly in a very, very difficult position, as are all local authorities across the country, in terms of the funding which we receive from local government to be able to use towards services. During the last Parliament, 5 years, we saw our grant support halved by government, so half of what we were getting we now no longer get. And we were told in the budget very recently that over the present Parliament we will lose the rest. So the entirety of our revenue support grant from government will have been lost over last Parliament and this one. So clearly that means we're in a pretty difficult position, and we've been working very hard over a number of years now to ensure that we make very significant savings in terms of what we spend and in terms of raising, wherever possible, different sources of income. So trying to lower our costs and increase our income. And we have managed that very successfully now over a number of years and made some very significant savings. And what this report is doing is really bringing us up to date in terms of where we are, in terms of our capital programme and the spending on that. There's a report on fees and charges, which I'll touch on in a moment, and it looks at the revenue budget 2015-16, so the current financial year, and showing where we are against the spend against budget, and our base budget for 2016-17, and then the potential for any use of the surplus that we have on our spending reserve is looked at in the report as well. I'm going to just move forward quickly to fees and charges, because the Deputy has raised a point on what is actually charged, and there is a tabled amendment before you this evening, which is a new page 143. I'm actually going to change it slightly again as well, but if you look at the Clean Borough enforcement at the bottom of that, litter and fouling, we are constrained in terms of what we are allowed to charge by way of fines, and we do try and charge the maximum. And the maximum for each of these has been changed by government, so we can change as well. So for litter dropping, the fixed penalty, which is currently £75, we're able to move to £80. And the Fouling of Land Act, and members will recall that back in November we had a report on dog fouling and public space protection orders. So the government had changed the law in terms of what we need to be able to do to protect a public space and then be able to fine people for dog fouling. So we're needing to designate our public spaces with public space protection orders, and there's a consultation being produced for that. But what that will mean as well, that we will be able to enforce penalties on public land, and the proposal I'm making is that we increase not by 20%, as Mr. Foster was asking, but we actually increase it to £100. So therefore the fines available would be for litter, £80, fouling of land, so dog fouling, £100. So that's part of that would be a slight amendment to the recommendation.